A longboat scrapes onto a muddy shore in Central America. The settlers climb out in their good wool coats and scan the tree line for the city they were promised. The paved boulevards, the domed cathedral, the opera house of the capital, St. Joseph. They see only jungle. A brown river, clouds of mosquitoes, and the rotting timbers of an older settlement that died here long ago. One man grips a certificate saying he owns land in the thriving country of Poyais. He is standing on it. It is a swamp. They crossed an ocean to reach the kingdom of Poyais. It does not exist. It never did. And the man who sold it to them is back in London, counting their money. Gregor MacGregor is born in 1786 into a Scottish clan once so feared its name was outlawed, the clan of Rob Roy. He fights under Wellington in Spain, then sails to South America for a bigger life. He joins the revolutions against Spain, marries a cousin of Simón Bolívar, and becomes a general. In 1816, surrounded and outnumbered, he leads his men on a month-long fighting retreat to safety, and they crown him the Xenophon of the Americas. But there is a darker side. Twice, when battles turn against him, he abandons his own troops and sails away, leaving them to be killed. That is the real MacGregor, brave, magnetic, and perfectly willing to let others die for his ambitions. In 1820, he lands on the Mosquito Coast and is welcomed by a local ruler, King George Frederick Augustus. Over rum and gifts, the king signs away 8 million acres, a territory larger than Wales, for some jewelry and a quantity of rum. The land is real. It is also worthless, empty, malarial rainforest with no city, no port, nothing. A smaller swindler would have tried to sell the jungle. MacGregor's dark genius is seeing that he does not need to sell the land at all. He can sell the idea of it. He names his 8 million acres Poyais and sails home to build it, not with timber, but with paper. The invention of a nation. He reaches London in 1821 with a title he invented for himself, Cazique, or Prince of Poyais, and London is primed to believe him. The new republics of Latin America are the hottest investment on earth, their bonds paying 6%, while British ones pay 3%. Money is hunting for somewhere exotic, and MacGregor hands it a destination. He gives Poyais a parliament, a coat of arms, uniforms, and a flag. He commissions a 355-page guidebook by a Captain Thomas Strangeways who does not exist. It describes the capital, St. Joseph, as a city of 20,000 with paved boulevards, a theater, an opera house, a cathedral, and the Grand Bank of Poyais. The soil gives 3 harvests a year. The rivers, it promises, run with globules of pure gold. He opens land offices in London, Edinburgh, and Glasgow, and sells plots at about a laborer's daily wage. Demand is so fierce, he raises the price. 500 people buy land in a swamp. Then a respected London bank floats a Poyais government loan of £200,000, and the bonds trade on the stock exchange beside those of real nations. For the emigrants, MacGregor saves his cruelest trick. He prints Poyais dollars, struck by the same firm the Bank of Scotland uses, and convinces departing settlers to change their solid British pounds into this official-looking money for the journey. Families hand over their life savings for paper worth nothing. He makes them pay to be robbed. The ships. The buyers are not fools. Bankers, doctors, civil servants, tradesmen. MacGregor hands out offices in his imaginary government like favors. An officer named Hector Hall is made Baron Tinto, An Edinburgh cobbler is appointed official shoemaker to the Princess of Poyais. They sell everything and sail. The Honduras packet leaves in September 1822 with about 70 settlers. The Kennersley Castle follows from Leith in January 1823 with nearly 200 more, firing a 6-gun salute and raising the green flag of Poyais as the immigrants cheer for their new home. The kingdom that wasn't there. They reach the coast and find nothing but jungle and the ruins of someone else's failure. At first, they refuse to believe it and sit on the beach waiting for a government that will never come. Their captain abandons them in a storm. Then Hall returns with the final blow. The Mosquito King has cancelled the grant and denies ever making any Scotsman a prince. To him, these starving Europeans are trespassers. The rains arrive, and with them, malaria and yellow fever. The settlers lie on bare ground under a few leaves and begin to die. A passing schooner finds the camp in May 1823, with men and children already dead and dozens too weak to stand, and carries the survivors to British Belize, where more die still. Of the roughly 250 who sailed, at least 180 are dead. Fewer than 50 ever see Britain again. And here is how complete the lie was. When the broken survivors reach home, 6 of them, including a man who buried 2 of his own children in that mud, sign a sworn statement defending MacGregor, insisting the fault lay with his agents and never with the cazique. He had killed their children, and they still believed in him. Buried with honors. MacGregor slips out of London before they return and goes to Paris, where he runs the whole scheme again. New emigrants, a new constitution, a new loan. It collapses only when dozens of people ask the French government for passports to a country no official has heard of. He is arrested, tried for fraud in 1826, and acquitted. He keeps selling Poyais for another decade. Then, in 1838, he sails to Venezuela, whose revolution he once fought for, and asks to come home. They welcome him as a hero, with citizenship and a general's pension. When he dies in Caracas in 1845, he is buried in the cathedral with full military honors, ministers walking behind his coffin. He died decorated and mourned, while the families he destroyed lay in unmarked graves in a Honduran swamp, still holding the banknotes of a country that never was. MacGregor never forged a signature. He forged a nation and understood the one thing every great con man knows: people will not die for a lie forced upon them, only for one they desperately wanted to be true. Poyais was never a place. It was a wish, beautifully printed, and he sold people their own hope and let the jungle do the rest.